Hello, welcome to the first video blogcast of the Detox Diaries. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Engel, and I was diagnosed with cancer back in March 2013. Since then, I've gone through 14 rounds of chemotherapy, a double mastectomy, and I'm currently undergoing 25 treatments of radiation. When I first started this journey, I wanted to try to change my diet into a detox diet right away. But the first round of the Red Devil, combined with another powerful chemotherapy, pretty much threw that right out the window. And I basically ate whatever my stomach could tolerate. Luckily, as I moved into Taxol, which was 12 rounds, the nausea went away, but I still kind of just kept eating how I wanted to eat. With chemotherapy, you get your blood work done every week, and it was during that time that I realized that my blood sugar was a little bit high. Now, the steroids that they give you can cause this to happen, but I still wanted to kind of investigate my diet and see what could be causing this. A typical diet for me would have been in the morning a breakfast, a banana or a piece of bread on the go in my car on the way to work, a vegetable-based lunch, kind of like a stew perhaps, like a vegetable-based stew that contained rice or pasta. And for dinner I would have meat and a side dish, which often did not actually contain any vegetables whatsoever, and dessert every night. Generally just a small piece of chocolate, not really that big of a deal. But let's also include the holidays or going out to the movies where I could finish off a package of red vines, no problem. So I began to look into my diet and I started making radical changes, just reducing my sugar. Instead of a banana or a piece of bread, I switched to oatmeal with no brown sugar, no honey, just kind of plain oatmeal. And just making those changes, watching my sugar, got my blood sugar levels back to normal. One of the findings with cancer research lately is that, I don't know, there's no specific number, but let's say 80 to 85% of cancers is really just a nutrition deficit and toxicity disease. And if we actually eat right, we can kind of prevent cancer and possibly, even if we go to the other extreme, cure cancer by starving how we're feeding our cancer. We all have cancer in our bodies. The difference between when cancer metastasizes, that's when it actually becomes bad and malignant, and when it doesn't, is kind of based on how healthy or not healthy our immune system is. If we don't give our bodies the nutrients that they need, then the cells become weak and they're unable to fight off these foreign particles that are attacking our body, including cancer. So, how do we get all the nutrition that we need? It turns out that the food pyramid that the government has shown for us isn't exactly the way that we should be getting our nutrients. How we actually build up our immunity and give our body the nutrients that it needs is through a mostly vegetarian vegan diet that contains very little to no animal products. It also talks about minimizing the amount of toxins that we have around us and on our body. For example, I found out that we actually really can absorb whatever we place upon our skin into our bloodstream. Like everything else in the world, there are two spectrums. There is one side whose theory is, you know what, I only live once, so I might as well have fun doing it. And then there's the other side that talks about avoiding all toxins whatsoever, including our water, and only eating a raw vegan diet. If there's one thing that Spirit has taught me over the years is to stay balanced. However, what is balanced for me and what is balanced for somebody else are two different things. So how do you know what is balanced for you? Well, I actually heard a podcast from Dr. Lisa Rankin and Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen about 10 ways that your soul guides you in your daily life, which you can find on my website. And I'll kind of review that at the end because I'll mention there's a lot of different resources that you can find on my website. And I picked 5 out of the 10 that are specific to how do you know it's balanced for you when you're choosing what foods to eat or not eat. Number 1, a persistent irrational thought that will not go away. There's any time that my body's actually been sick or something like that, Spirit, I've heard them say, go vegetarian. And I failed actually 3 times. I failed twice. This is my 3rd attempt at going vegetarian. So that was kind of a persistent thought for me whenever I'd get sick. Number 2, dreams. I have never had a dream that told me what to eat or what not to eat. But I did have a dream when I was about 20 years old that basically told me to get back in touch with my spirit. And one of the things that we also learn about cancer and any other diseases is that our brains can actually heal us more than we think. If we believe that the changes we are making can cure us, it can actually happen. So Dr. Lisa Rankin also discusses this on a TED Talk, which again, I have included on my website if you'd like to see that one. So listening to dreams. Number 3, your gut feeling. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks lately, especially regarding health. And one thing that I found out and discovered is that our gut actually has neurons contained in it, very similar to that which is in our brain. So when we talk about a gut feeling, our stomachs might be smarter than we think. A lot of times when it comes to food, it might come to you in the form of, I know if I eat that, I'm not going to feel very good, but you eat it anyway. Okay, so listen to your gut. If you're approaching a food and your body's kind of telling you, no, you really shouldn't eat that, start listening. Number 4, physical symptoms. When I eat good food, I feel good. And when I eat bad food, I feel bad. I actually get physically sick. And sometimes when my body gets off kilter, it'll even take it 3 days to recover if I've really eaten something bad. I heard Jay Kordich, the juice man, say, if you eat live foods, you feel alive. And if you eat dead foods, you feel dead. But what makes one person feel alive and what makes one person feel dead are 2 different things. So that's again where you have to go back to your gut feeling, and when you eat foods, just really taking inventory. Some people go as far as writing out a food diary. I just kind of keep track in my mind, and I know what foods I can and cannot eat. Number 5, messengers and messages. So I would say that Spirit was really trying to tell me to start eating more clean. That's another phrase that you'll hear for eating more healthy. I would say it was summer, not too long after I was diagnosed with cancer. One of my friends posted a video online about how we can really eat anything we want. Well, no, let me phrase that. We can eat as much as we want, but we cannot eat anything we want. So for example, if we eat clean, if we eat foods that are found around the outside of the supermarket, like outside the rim, the fruit and vegetable sections, don't go inside to the aisles, if we can eat almost as much of that food as we want. In the video, it basically stated that Americans eat so much processed food, food-like substances, but it is actually not food and does not contain nutrients for our body. So we feel full, and we are full, but our bodies are starving for those nutrients. So that was the first video that I came across that talked about that. Also, I've heard now, I've found on Netflix many things: the Gerson therapy, Fat, Sick, and Dead, Vegucated. All of these resources you can find online at my website. So these messages really just came pouring in about how we can starve cancer by simply changing what's on our plate. As I heard one resource say, and I can't remember exactly who said this one, but the cure is in the kitchen. So basically, we can start making our own cures in our own kitchen that's very healthy for our body and not detoxing. The other thing that I did was I ordered this book, Healing the Gerson Way. Now, when you read it, it's actually one of those far left extreme, drinking 13 vegetable and fruit juices a day, no water actually, even to bathe in, because they talk about how toxic that is, and eating only a vegan vegetable-based diet. Although they do allow some dairy, so that's not totally vegan, which is basically no fat yogurt. No oils except for flaxseed oil. So again, it's still one of the far left. But one of the chapters in here talks about life after Gerson. And it really kind of talks about how if you eat 75 to 90% what they call protective foods, and then you can eat 10 to 25% of whatever you want to eat. And to me, that seemed doable. I also do not think that I could include 10 to 13 vegetable juices a day. But what I did think I could do is at least 2 juices a day, because I already have a juicer. And I thought I could incorporate 2 large green salads into my diet a day. So basically eating almost live food for breakfast and lunch, and then allowing myself some cooked food for dinner, but still vegetarian. I did decide to make a commitment to try to go vegetarian. So on the food list, I also did this. I downloaded foods for the Gerson diet. And there's some on here that are desirable foods. And there are some on here that are occasionally allowed foods and prohibited foods. On here, there are, I think, 54 prohibited foods as well as 6 occasionally allowed foods. So on Detox Diaries, what I am going to do for next week is go through this list, rank it number 1 to 52, because I plan on doing 52 episodes, which will last 1 year, about foods that I think will be the easiest to give up, or substances, and that being number 1, and ranking it all the way down to number 52, which would be foods that would be the most difficult to give up. And again, to be honest, I don't know if I can go 100% vegan, because I really do like milk sometimes, which can actually act like medicine for my body, being an anti-gas substance. I can drink a glass of milk and my stomach actually feels better. Also, I really like sour cream and I like yogurt. So again, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to go vegan, but what I can do is drastically reduce my dairy intake. And really, that's more not just a health issue. For me, it's also an animal issue too, how they're raised in the farms, etc., etc. But for the most part, I'm just talking about what's going to help me and my body nutritionally. I also downloaded Eat to Beat Cancer. Again, these foods. So you're going to notice that the foods don't necessarily match up on both lists. Some of them do. But for example, on Eat to Beat Cancer, they say that mushrooms are actually really good for you. And on the Gerson therapy diets, they don't allow mushrooms. So there are, and on Eat to Beat Cancer, they talk about some meat that actually is good for you. And on the Gerson therapy diet, they talk about no animal products. So what I like though is using both of these and providing these both as resources, because let's say you don't want to go vegetarian, but you do kind of want to clean up your diet a little bit. On the Eat to Beat Cancer list, they actually talk about some meats that you could use instead of maybe some of the meats that you're doing today. Also, if you are animal conscious, I do like shopping at Whole Foods because, for example, my sons and my husband are not vegetarian. They don't really plan on going vegetarian, and I don't feel like forcing my beliefs on them. What I do like about Whole Foods is that they actually rank their animal products on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being they're kind of being raised in your traditional cage, not really much of a life, to a ranking of 5, meaning everything was animal centered. So at least if you are going to eat the meat, you can feel good knowing that that animal actually had a good life. Plus, I also know a lot of my friends, and one in particular has her own farm, where you can be part of a farm co-op. So that could be an option as well if you're more worried about animal intakes rather than, health and detox. So with any luck, next week I will post my list. I'm going to post 2 lists. Number 1, what my typical day looks like now for the most part. My ideal day. And like I said, I've actually made quite a few changes, even just the past couple of weeks. So I'll share those changes that I've made. I'll also share my list, my ranking of 1 to 52, and then over the next couple weeks, I will share with you the food that I've chosen to give up for that week, and possibly for good, what I maybe replaced that with or what I was already doing, and also the difficulties, because I'll be honest, I did go to Whole Foods yesterday and I was so tempted to try. I did include a little mozzarella cheese and a vegetarian dish that I had last night for dinner. And I was so tempted to buy some vegan mozzarella cheese, but I just couldn't do it. I'm not there yet. Also, I'd really like to hear your stories, your tips, your resources. So if you have any of those, please leave me a message either on Facebook or on my website. Thank you for watching and have a healthy and blessed day.